Hey, what the hell's going on, you guys? It is Tuba Player Negative AE, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry. Last we left off, we had just kind of. I think we may have passed out, and we're gonna be revived here soon. We're gonna see as soon as we click the continue button, I'm sure. Let's go. Okay, yeah. So just losing consciousness, which is good. That was my first time losing consciousness. You often hear of regaining consciousness on top of a bed, but this is my first time actually experiencing it.
もしもし、大丈夫ですか？
Realizing that I was awake, a young doctor called out to me. I didn't intend to respond, but it seems my body language had told him that I was conscious. My head was wrapped in bandages. Scratches all over my body had also been treated. A sense of pain also returned with my consciousness, causing me to groan from all the intense pain shooting throughout me.
起きないで横になっていてください。頭をだいぶ殴られたようですから。24時間は特に安静にして。ここは私の診療入江と申します。よろしく。
I remember that this young doctor was the one in the car headed opposite way earlier.
誰かいませんか、大石さんは。
あ、呼んできましょう。診療所の中は禁煙なんで、表で吸ってもらってるんです。
Dr. Irie left the room to go call Uishi. The scenery outside the window was tinted with gold. The pouring rain had stopped, and the voices of the Higurashi heralding the cooling temperature. I felt the tone of the Higarashi's voices was comforting. Eventually I could hear heavy footsteps coming closer, which I reckoned to be Oishi's. Fog that had been enveloping my head slowly faded back to reality. What had happened since then? What had happened to the boy? What about the reinforcements from Tokyo? The door to the room flew open, allowing Dr. Irie and Oishi to enter.
じゃあ命に別状はないんでしょ？
ないと、頭に受けた傷は所見だけでは判断。
わかりました、わかりました。ちょいと彼と二人で話がしたいんですが。
ええ、どうぞ。何かありましたらお呼びください。
Uishi, after basically forcing Dr. Irie outside, shut the door.
いかがですか、
慣れないことをしたんで全身。
Uishi brought a folding chair that was leaning against the wall and sat down beside the bed.
犯人たちは逮捕されましたか？
残念ながら、とっくに県外へ逃げたか、村人にかくまわれているかのどっち。まあ、逃がしゃ。
大臣の孫は
署で保護しています。ただ、東京のあなたのご同僚から、しげちゃんが憤慨してましたっけ？
The kidnapping was a confidential matter, so his custody was also probably being kept under wraps. How the kidnapping of the minister's grandson would be handled, how it would be covered up and treated like it never happened, would be handled by the brass. If the case ended without the nation going into an uproar about it, then our job had been done. The possibility that the minister had negotiated with the perpetrators couldn't be ruled out. But something like that was no longer my concern. My rule in this case was
ご
over.
迷惑をおかけします。公安ってやつはいやらしいところだって思ってる。
思いません、思いません。お互い、日の丸から給金もらって仕事してるだけですよ。
Uishi laughed boisterously. When we first met, I was somewhat prejudiced against Uishi, but now that feeling was gone completely.
今回の事件、隠さないで大元にしてくれた方が、そうすれば黒幕の園崎本家に少しは迫れるんです。まあ、適当に迫ったところで圧力がかかるんでしょうがね。やれ。
大石さんは園崎本家に今後も戦いを。
まあ、いろいろ君子危うきに近寄らない方がいいんですよ。ね。
Uishi laughed happily, and I couldn't help but laugh
あ、そう
along.
です、そうです。さっき県警から署に連絡があったそうです。あなたのご同僚が名古屋に到着したそう。あなたは名誉の負傷ですから、東京へ。そんなわけです。あなたの沖宮での仕事は無事終了です。
I was being recalled to Tokyo. I inadvertently breathed a sigh of relief when I heard those words.
大石さんのご協力にあなたに支払った協力金は無駄にはなりませんでしたね。
あら、冗談のつもりだったんだけどな。
Rishi took out his wallet and casually pulled out several large bills and jabbed them into the breast pocket of my
こ
shirt.
れは協力金の返済じゃない。私からあなたへのお小遣い。この辺は地酒がうまいんでね。東京へのお土産にこいつで買っていくといいでしょう。
Oishi flashed me a grin. I like when Oishi's like the nice guy. Like in the first one and in this one, he's kind of like a cool, like badass detective
も
cop.
しもあなたの傷が軽いようなら、東京へ帰る前
He's
に
also
ぜひ
probably-
声をかけてくださいよ。
You know what I kind of imagine is if they're gonna pull a Danganronpa on me, they might pull a Danganronpa on me where they push you towards something to completely conceal another reality. Does that make sense? Like they're pushing me towards whether there's demons or not and what are the rules. But what if like the whole time it's just like not Dr. Urie, because he would be kind of like a suspect in my eyes. But they've kind of done a good job of shying away from Oishi being anything of a fire starter here, and it would be so crazy if he was the fire starter.
おやさんも佐藤さんも、ぜ
I don't
ひ
know.
あなたともう一度。
やれやれ。
I just thought I'd throw that out
参っ
there.
たな。
今度はこっちも小細工抜きです。純粋に楽しもうじゃない。
よく言いますよ。原則の警官があんなに濃い様が。
私どもとね、対等以上に打てる面。あなたが東京に帰るのが惜しいですよ。
When I heard the words going back to Tokyo from Oishi, I was reminded once again that I was relieved from my duties. Soon, Yuki would be giving birth. It might be possible to attend that delivery that I had at one time given up on. When I thought that, the pain from my injuries became trivial. I wanted to hurry up back to Tokyo and see Yuki at once.
少し傷が重いふりをして、沖宮にしばらく滞在しません？
Yo, that girl's totally freaking Takano-san.
いいお店をいろいろ紹介。もちろん、おごれなんて。
申し訳ないですが、それはまたの機会にします。妻の出産日が近いんでね、早く帰りたいんです。
ありゃりゃ、それは知らなかった。それじゃあこんなとこにいちゃいけない。早く帰らないといけません。
For a while after that, Oishi asked all sorts of questions about my wife, teasing and bantering with... Okay.
さて、
With me.
具合はどうです？おきれいそうですか？
ええ。立って歩いても全然平気ですよ。
I stood up and shuffled around for a bit, which seemed to amuse Oishi.
いえいえ。ひなみ沢の病院では落ち着く。入江の先生は一晩泊まる。犯人もまだ捕まってません。一応、ここはあなたにとっては
この病院は安全ではな。
まあ、入江の先生もここにいる限りは何もないとは思いますが、赤坂さんの気分的にめいらないかという方が問題ですね。
I had relaxed a bit now that things had progressed this far, but it was exactly as Oishi had said. When I realized that this was enemy territory, I suddenly felt uncomfortable. But the only thing left for me to do was leave. The chance that I would come to harm was logically fairly low. But that didn't mean I was completely safe.
そうですね。横になっているだけなら、ホテルのベッドでも同じな気がします。
そうです。私もその方がいいと思います。
At that moment, I caught a glimpse of the clock over Oishi's shoulder. It was the evening. The hours I could call Yuki at the hospital were almost over. I wanted to tell her as quickly as possible that I would soon be back at her side. She's either under threat of death, or there's a miscarriage and they don't have the baby.
ちょっと、雪江の病院に電話してきます。
I'm calling it right the fuck now. Things are too nice.
ロビーに公衆電話とかはありませんか？
新婚さんはそういう、確か会計の脇にあった。ここで待ってますから、行ってらっしゃい、行ってらっしゃい。
Oishi laughing while saying that he was jealous. He opened up the window, pulled out a cigarette, even though he was in a hospital room. Appreciative of how considerate Oishi was, I set out to the lobby to find the phone. The lobby was just a short distance down the hallway from the hospital room. I thought that this hospital was a bit too grand for a village like this, but of course it was nothing compared to the general hospital Yuki was admitted to. Running inside a hospital wasn't the best of manners, but calling hours would soon end, so I dashed over in a hurry. There was nobody else in the lobby. Might have been the evening, but there was nobody at the reception desk. Well, this might actually be lucky for me. I wasn't planning to have a conversation feel guilty about it, but it would still be embarrassing to have someone listen to the conversation between me and Yuki. Taking a quick look around, I soon found the payphone. Digging around in my pockets, I grabbed a few coins. I was calling Tokyo from here, so I would burn through this amount fairly quickly. I picked up the receiver, inserted a coin, then dialed the number for Yuki's hospital, which I had completely memorized by this point. Were. The number for Yuki's hospital had a lot of 8s and 9s, so dialing it inevitably took some time. Normally it wouldn't be a big deal, but currently, any time was precious. However, I felt something was strange as I was dialing in the number. As if the receiver was too quiet. That unique white noise from the telephone line wasn't there. Okay. They're taking it a different direction than I had originally thought.
なんだこれ。
Phone lines are cut.
断線でもしてるのかな。
Go back to Oishi.
すみません。
Felt the presence of someone on the other side of the glass, so I called out. There was an immediate response, and a man who seemed like a pharmacist came over.
はいはい。どうなさいましたか？
すみません。この電話の調子がおかしくて、ちょっと見てもらえますか。
The man came over, tried testing various things with the receiver pressed to his ear. Come to think of it, this was someone who worked at the hospital, not someone from the phone company. Just as I didn't know much about phones, neither would he.
あれ？なんだこれ？
Man held up the cord connected to the phone. Severed.
なんだこれ？参ったな。これじゃ電話会社の人に直してもらわないとどうにもならないですね。
Maybe it's not going a different direction than I thought it was. Maybe they are killing her or something.
電話でしたら事務室のを使います？
But then, no. They wouldn't kill. No, because she's Takano-san. I've already called it. I didn't want the people in the hospital office around while I was talking.
近所にこう。
ここを出て道なりに行くと、そこのどこかの角の行けば見つけられると思いますよ。
It was just in a hospital gown, and I was wearing sandals on my feet. My head was wrapped in bandages. Just by looking at me, you could tell I was a hospital patient. No matter how you looked at it, I was not dressed to be wandering outside. What? No. What? Yo, this is like the fucking This is like that horror movie shit. I hate the horror movie shit where they make stupid decisions, and it's like, are you serious? Is that really what you're gonna do? Man, I wanted to talk to my wife so bad. I mean, she couldn't wait another day. I had to go out in my hospital gown, completely vulnerable in enemy territory, like he was just saying, with the severed phone line. It even played the scary music. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I hated it in, what was that one game? I played that one game, where all your choices matter. Well, I mean, they don't matter, but it was like the party, and they had a party at the lodge. What was the name of that? There was like a party. They had it all at the lodge. There was a bunch of teenage kids, and it was a horror game, and it came out relatively recently. It was a couple years back. Like a year back? I don't know. A couple years back. And you would like make choices, and there was like these Wendigos or some shit. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about different games. But it was the same case in that game. They would always do stupid shit, and I'd be like, are you fucking serious? Is that really what you're gonna do? The spare street lights lit up enough to start attracting moths. In that game, it was okay though, because I could just kill them instantly. I'd be like, "Fuck you! You make stupid decisions. I'm killing you." And then then it'll be the next person's turn. The Higurashi, knowing the time for their course as soon as we're closed, redoubled their fragile cries. Finding the payphone wasn't as easy as the person at the hospital had suggested. Still up ahead? Did I miss it already? Was I just getting farther away? I'm gonna get jumped. Just as I was about to be crushed by the wave of uncertainty towering over me, I found a shop with the cigarettes written on a small sign. My joy spurred me onwards. Just as I thought, just as I had heard at this hospital, set next to the counter of the cigarette shop was an antiquated payphone. Antiquated, I believe. It wasn't. I wasn't wearing a watch, so I didn't know what time it was. I probably didn't have much time left though. But it was enough. Just as long as I could tell Yuki my job was done and I would be coming home soon. That's what you think. But he's Tomitaki, so I don't know. But then this is another game, so maybe Tomitaki dies real early in this. I didn't even think of that possibility. Like, this game is just completely fucking different than all the other games, and this game has no bearing on the other games. Picking up the receiver, I slid a coin down the slot. I felt that something was strange, just like at the hospital. Even after inserting the coin, the phone showed no response. I hung up the receiver and tried putting in the coin one more time. There was absolutely no response. This phone was dead. Couldn't be. Thinking that, I felt the cord that protruded along the back of the phone. Doing that, my hands found the end of a completely severed line. What the fuck did you expect? The first thing I would have done as soon as I discovered the first severed line is went and talked to Oishi. That would have been the cool thing to do. Or like gone back to bed or not gone back to bed, but like asked Oishi to take me home. So that way I could use my hospital cord. Or not hospital, my hotel cord. Because if the hotel line's down, then like they have to cut the lines to all the rooms and everything, and that sounds like a hassle because there's so many phones in every room. I may be mistaken, but it didn't look like much time had passed since it was cut. Opening up the booth window of the tobacco shop, I looked for someone in the dimly lit interior. Eventually, there were sounds of somebody plodding down some stairs, and an old lady appeared. Fuck. Fuck.
タバコを買いたいわけじゃないんです。この電話が。
Realizing that saying the phone was broken and asking them to take a look at it was going to get me nowhere, so I swallowed back my words.
この電話が壊れてるみたいなんで、別の公衆電話があるところを教えてもらいたいのですが。
My first immediate thought is that the old lady's Oryu, but I don't know.
電話そんな難儀だ。他の公衆電話を当たってください。
The old lady directed me to another payphone that seemed quite a ways away. Your ways of telling me were so long-winded that I inadvertently started getting impatient. At that moment, I spotted a clock in the dim interior of the store. The minute hand was just about to point straight up. Even if there was a phone right here that I could use, I would only be able to tell Yuki good night with the time I had left. On top of that, my destination was a remote payphone, which I didn't know the exact distance to. If I was in a normal state of mind, deciding to give up the phone today would have been the natural thought process. But at that moment, I had become somewhat stubborn for some reason, unable to use the phone in the hospital and coming out here and still being unable to use one. There was no mistaking that I had become quite insistent on using a phone.
どうもありがとうございます。
The thing that confuses me the most is that why would you not go to your hotel? If the hospital phone is broken, the next option should not be let me walk in the streets in my hospital gown, go like a couple miles away to a cigarette shop and use their payphone. The logical conclusion is to ask Oishi to take you to the hotel so you can lay down and use the phone there. Now, if the phone line is cut at the hotel, then that means that you got some shit going on, but the hotel has like 80 phones, and if all the phones are down in the hotel doesn't have any business.
その電話ボックス
I'm just saying.
探してみます。
Logically. I'm over here trying to make sense of a horror thing going on. But I'm just saying. According to the old lady, even though the phone booth was quite far away, it would be easy to find. This man is the worst kind of horror movie person. Tomitaki, no wonder you died. He's probably like, a dark figure in the night? Let me get closer. If I followed this road straight down, I'd eventually find it. Sandals flapping as I ran, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. I admit that I was quite steadfast about calling Yuki. But there were days when I was tired or busy when I wouldn't call her. Even today, my entire body was covered with injuries and I was dead tired. On top of that, there wasn't much time left. It wouldn't be strange at all if today was one of those days I didn't call her. But having twice been foiled by trying to call her, had I become hot-headed about it. Was I like a dog who was being told to stay with a piece of food dangled in my face?
何やってんだろ
Even so, I somehow couldn't quell the uneasy feeling sitting in the pit of my stomach. Yeah, because you chose the worst possible option in your current state. I'm gonna run into enemy. Oh, I'm so mad. It was like that in the hospital phone and the one in the tobacco shop. Both cords are definitely not severed from being frayed, but long years of use. The clean cuts indicated that someone had taken something sharp and deliberately cut them. But who and for what reason? The more I thought about it, the uneasier I felt, so I tried to push that thought aside. And I like how he's going to this next phone thinking that that phone won't be cut, especially if it's in the middle of nowhere. Oh my god, I'm so mad. I just want to talk about how stupid this decision is. How much should I run so far? The scenery around me is no longer that of a shopping district, but I mean he's already deep. He's already deep into this decision that he's made, so I mean might as well, might as well continue, I guess. A residential building just scattered around the lonely road. The surroundings had already grown dark. If I didn't know that he was Tomitaki-san, I would be like, what? I was blatantly out too far for a quick phone call, and it was quite obvious I was far removed from the hospital. I recalled the clock I saw at the tobacco shop. It might almost be time. I'd run for quite a bit, so my breathing had grown quite ragged. If I just wanted to hear Yuki's voice, I should have just thrown away my reservations and borrowed the phone in the office. Yeah, that's another thing. Is ask Oishi to take you back to the station so you can see the kid, and then you use that phone. So stupid. So dumb. It would have been faster. Oh my goodness. It would have been faster, and it would have been amazing. Well, was it time to give up? Just then, when I thought that, I saw the light in front of me. I had finally found it. It was a phone booth. That's cut, because fucking every phone is cut. It seemed that the light in the phone booth had recently been changed and shown a vivid white light. Although in the gloom of Hinamiza, it was nothing more than a gathering spot for moths. But in any case, I had finally found it. As my hand touched the door of the phone booth, I realized that I was breathing and sweating heavily. I didn't know what time it was right now, but even if it was just for a moment, I might be able to get in touch with Yuki. As I had spent all this effort getting here, turning back without even giving it a try was out of the question. Before I picked up the receiver, another wave of uneasiness washed over me. I was worried that this phone cord might be severed too. That was the cord in this phone booth. Squatting down, I followed the bundle of cables as they ran along the corner into the ceiling. At a glance, nothing was out of the ordinary. I ran my fingers as far as I could along the line to check it out. The only thing they found was a thick layer of dust. Nothing out of the ordinary. I wondered if it was popular for Hinamizawa to cut cords of payphones as some sort of tasteless prank. It might be prudent to talk to Uishi-san about this or later. Even if it was nothing more than a prank, it was still vandalism of public property. In any case, this one was fine. This time. Pulling a coin out from my pocket with one hand, I picked up the receiver with the other. But this time, before the receiver had even reached my ear, I felt something was off. The receiver was light. It was more than a slightly unpleasant feeling. It almost felt sickening. To verify the source of my displeasure, I peered at the receiver in my hand with a measure of reluctance.
なんだよこれ
coiled cord connected the receiver to the rest of the phone had been ripped apart, the tip of the cable swaying in the air. It was all I could do to restrain myself as a raw and unpleasant feeling worked its way up the small of my back. It's a type of dread. At that moment, I heard the crunch of somebody stepping on gravel. The light was reflecting off the glass walls of the booth, leaving me unable to see into the darkness. I steeled myself and stepped out of the phone booth. It's what's her name? It's the little girl. It's Rika. That strong light might have been warmer in there. Just stepping outside, I could feel a chill wash over me. And there was the silhouette of a person. Small silhouette.
君は
The long hair of that silhouette was blown about by the cool breeze.
怪我人が病院を抜け出してはいけないのですよ。
Somewhere in my head, I knew who this girl was. I didn't have any basis for it, but I knew that she was that girl.
ねえ、赤坂。
She, Rika Furude, said that almost like it was a warning.
君が
Her expression remained unchanged, and my question was left unanswered. In other words, no response. Regardless, I felt that she had affirmed my suspicions.
どうしてこんなことをするんだ
You know, it'd be really creepy if that they could do to this game, and it would like make it 1,000. Is if they just added blinking. Blinking would make this like the creepiest thing if they added like the eyes closing.
どうして
Someone should really suggest that. Even if it's just like a couple times during a scene, it would make it so much creepier. It would just be like super uncanny valley. Anyway, why would you do something like this? Why? Last word had a tinge of anger behind it. I frantically tried to smooth things out, but she didn't seem very afraid.
もうどうにもならないこと。
I interrupted her words as interpreted her words as meaning that I wasn't going to be in time for calling hours at the hospital. But thinking about it, that would have been a strange thing to say. Why would she know something like that? I could take what she had said to have any other meaning. She just stood there like a mannequin, not even moving an inch. Almost to the point that if the wind wasn't occasionally rustling through her long hair, there would be the illusion that time had stopped.
赤坂が私を気味悪く思って。
ああいやそんなことないよ
My denial came out almost like a bad piece composed for a poetry slam, but her words were right on the mark. I'd always felt something ominous and uncanny about her, ever since her strange threats at the shrine. Rika's evil face is like a weird evil face. You'd notice that my expression was contrary to the words, seemingly laughing at the gap in between.
赤坂の怖がり。
怖がってなんかいないよ
Being laughed at by this small child didn't sit well with me. So I said
も
that.
う電話を探しても。
そうだな
Didn't even have to say it. I was absolutely too late. Might have already missed calling hours even by the time I reached this phone booth. I was too late. I had no option but to give up for today. Once I had decided that, my unhealthy obsession with the phone suddenly faded. Even though I thought it was strange that I was that obsessed. The strange obsession now gone, I began to laugh at how hopeless I was. I mean, just look at what I was wearing. It wasn't normal. A hospital gown and sandals. My head wrapped in bandages and my body completely soaked in sweat. It was a wonder that the old lady at the tobacco shop wasn't surprised to see me. That's because they're all in on it. With wanting to hear Yugi's voice as my motive, I trapezed around the town the entire evening. I didn't know whether to call it the follies of youth or just simply plain embarrassing. In any case, was all I could do but to laugh at
もうこ
myself.
れで今夜赤坂が
そうだなおとなしく病院へ引き上げるさ
それがいいのですよ。病院への道は
わかるつもりだよ
She waved her little hand as I began to head back the way I came. She began to follow alongside me. Looking at her face, I can see that she wore a mischievous smile, as if she was extremely interested in whether or not I would get lost.
リカちゃんの家もこっちの方向なのかい？
なのですよ。
こんな時間に一人で表を歩いてると、ご両親。
別に怒られま。今日はご両親は忙しい日なので、僕のことなどは。
それでも帰った方がいい。きっと怒るよ。
それでも赤坂とおしゃべりする方が面白いのでいいのです。
She said that with a face free from worry as she looked up at me once more and smiled. See, it's weird that people are evil in some stories and not evil in others, and I don't know, dude. I don't know. Like, I feel like... I don't know. When she showed me that smile, that eerie feeling, I feel like I talk too much in between the stuff. But there's just so much. But even then, she was still mysterious to me as ever. We had arrived at the corner I had turned at earlier, but it was much darker than before, and with the point of view changed on the return trip, I wasn't very confident that this was actually the corner I had turned at. It was not a mistake, it had to be this corner. As I began to move my feet again, a girl grabbed onto my clothes.
赤坂は病院へ戻るのではないのですか？
もちろん戻る道間違えた？
Eventually, still holding on to my clothes, she began to walk. It was the beginning of the walk to the hospital that this mysterious girl would take me on. That's an interesting, like, desktop background, right? You just, like, snap that. It's just,
電話のコードを切って回ってたの。
this whole situation wouldn't have happened if I would have just asked Oisha to take me back. I don't know. It's a strange obsession, though. So someone might have, like, possessed me and had that happen. Also, I feel like I'm being, like, led on a wild goose chase. You ever have, like, a friend who's, like, who has a secret, but he won't, like, when you were a kid, right? And you were, like, into secrets. Did you guys ever do the thing where you're like, just tell me the secret? Why aren't you telling me the secret? And your friend would, like, giggle at you and be like, oh, I'm not going to tell you the secret. It's kind of like that, where, like, you want to know the secret, but you don't care. But your friend's making, like, a big deal about it. So it's like, come on, tell me the freaking ending, or tell me the freaking secret. And they just don't tell you the secret. I feel like that's the feeling I have. And I can't wait. I cannot wait to see the ending to this game, because there's just so much that they've built up, and they've been like, ooh hee hee, like look at all these people that are, like, I don't know. The person who was running, I hope everybody understands my analogy. Who's running cutting all the way with you.
もうしちゃ。
僕には。
本当にかい？
Tried to play dumb, but it was written all over her face.
ニパ
It was obvious that she was trying to laugh it off, but that adorable smile of hers just made me want to forgive her. I'm gonna be a horrible father, aren't I? That momentary lapse in tension was erased by her next words.
ー。孫、無事に見つかってよかったです。
Unable to respond right away, I sunk into silence. I'd already learned this from Sato-san's info, didn't I? This girl, no, this entire village knew everything since the moment I set foot in it. I considered playing dumb, but in the end I chose not to. With everything being unknown already, there was no point in me feigning ignorance.
なんとかね。
それはよかった。これで東京に帰れますです。
ありがとう。
赤坂の怪我はひどいのですか？
さあ、ひどいのかどうか、医者の診察を聞いてないからわからないな。
Come to think of it, I vaguely remembered being told to lie down and take it easy for at least 24 hours.
怪我人は病院を抜け出して
Does
は
that
い
mean
けない
bed
ので
rest?
すよ。
電話のコードだって切っちゃいけないんだぞ。
僕には何のことやらわから。
じゃあこっちだって何のことかわからないや。
As we played dumb with each other, we both laughed at the same time. This is kind of cool. If somebody saw us laughing at each other like this, they probably bring a smile to their lips.
赤坂が生きてこの村を出られる確率は、僕は赤坂に死んでほしくはないので。
リカちゃん、最初っから私の正体は知ってたんだろ？なら分かっていると思うけど、なのに君はいろいろと忠告してくれたね。
That's right. She said it at that time. She wouldn't warn somebody that she was okay with dying. She definitely said something like that.
感謝した方がいいの。僕は命の恩人なのです。
Saying that, she puffed up her chest proudly. She said it jokingly, but the meaning behind those words was quite heavy. That was because whether I lived or died was a decision that might have been made in a place unbeknownst to me. She said those words with such an adorable smile that it took a few moments of silence for the weight to settle in. Been to this place before. The Defense Alliance office was there. It was the stone steps leading up to the Furude Shrine. When I passed by before, I was so focused on finding a phone booth I hadn't realized where I was.
確かこの神社がリカちゃんの家だ。
まあそんなものです。
Looking up at the shrine grounds, it was brightly lit with energetic voices, and energetic voices could be heard. What's going on?
今日はお祭りの日なので。
お祭り？
ひなみ沢村の唯一で一番のお祭り。
Watanagashi.
綿流しのお祭りです。
Oh, I die! No. I don't die today.
綿流し？
祭りなんて名ばかりのつまらないものですよ。見ますですか？
Seeing that I looked interested, she climbed a couple of steps and motioned for me to come. I was only going to go back to sleep anyway. If I had nothing else to do, it might not be a bad idea to go with her on a little detour. This is exactly what I'm fucking talking about. Is this bullshit right here. In the hospital territory that was this village, I didn't know what would happen if I ventured down a side road without Oishi. Even though I thought of the village like that, when I was with this girl, I forgot all about it. In any case, even without anything to back it up, I felt as though, as long as I was with her, none of the ill will of the village would befall me. That's why, even though I knew my cover was blown, I strangely had no qualms about setting foot into the heart of the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance's territory. Climbing up the grounds of the shrine, I could see where there were 3 pavilions set up with meeting tables and folding chairs. The folks from the village, no, the executives of the Defense Alliance, were already quite drunkenly sharing another round of drinks. I could only see it as people from the village council drinking while enjoying the evening air. At the very least, it was quite different than any festival I'd ever seen.
ね、つまんないお祭りでしょ。
これは
大昔からずっと続いてきたお祭りですが、見ての通り、すっかり寂れてしまったのですよ。
Just to chide the old folks, she said that while looking at them with an exasperated expression. You really couldn't call this a festival anymore. It was just a bunch of old neighbors getting together to drink under the guise of a festival.
これじゃ祀られるか。
こんなみっともないお祭りも5、6年もする。ちゃんと儀式も真面目にやる立派なお祭りになるのですよ。
What she said was not so much as wishful thinking as it was telling of a future that had already been determined. She wasn't even predicting it. It was almost like she's simply reporting the results. That's how it sounded. Even though it was a baseless speculation, the way she said it wouldn't let me interject. It was the same way she talked when she changed. When I struggled, that's struggled. That has to be struggled. Because if strugged is a word, I give up. While I struggled to find the words to reply to her, I wandered over to the other side of the grounds, not minding me at all. Not in a state where I could afford to be left behind, I hurriedly followed after her. Passing through a... God, what? Oh gosh, this is a word I know. Passing through a copse of pine trees, and a strong cool breeze ruffled my hair. Oh, dude, freaking Insult's gonna tell me how to pronounce that word. I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, that's what that word is. There, from that one evening, was the splendid observation platform the girl had shown me. As it had grown completely dark, the modest lights littered across the nightscape were providing me with a different type of scenery.
こうして眺めると、この村ものどかそうに見えますのです。
She said that with a indifferent look on her face.
君は先日この村は絶対にダムに沈むことはないと
She didn't
そう
reply,
断言したね。
seemingly relishing in the feeling of the wind blowing through her hair.
あの時点でもう
She spun around, her gaze meeting mine, but she said nothing. She spoke nothing that would neither confirm nor deny what I had just said.
今回の事件は本庁上層部は多分大臣のスキャン
さもないと、孫を殺すぞと脅したに違いないのです。
で大臣との交渉が成功し、
孫を助けたのは、
どうだろう、発端となったあの財布の発見、あれ自体がすでにできすぎだったように思う。
I kind of like how we're just having a conversation, like we've accepted the fact that she's like a freaking, like a know-it-all like child that like is scary, and we're just kind of having like a chill conversation with her. I like that shit, dude. That's kind of how I imagine that shit would go. Like if I ever met an evil person, we just like fucking sit on a rock and be like, hey, I know you're evil, but like it's whatever. Let's just like drink coffee or some shit, and then we'll part ways, and then we'll be enemies again. That shit, like, I don't know. Ever since that moment the wallet was discovered, I felt something. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, guys. I'm just, I'm just waiting for answers. Oishi had said it as well. That the Sonozaki family had been given the order to release the hostage, meaning that our little man hunt was a farce to begin with. Come to think of it, I was punched, kicked, and had a gun pointed at me. Felt like they put up quite a fight, but that might have been all part of a good performance. Once the negotiations were successful, they couldn't just say, here you go, and return to the minister's grandson right to his doorstep. They knew that public safety had realized this was a kidnapping case and were moving on it. That's why, due to the actions of public safety, the grandson was able to be rescued safely. So the minister didn't give in to any unreasonable demands. That type of performance... The minister didn't give in to any reasonable demands. That type of performance.
僕には難しいこと。
同感だな、私にだって。だが一つ確実、君が言った通りってことさ。この村はダム計画なんてそのうちなくなってしまうってことさ。
That wasn't something an officer of the law should be saying, but naturally I let those words slip from my mouth. This village may have stirred up all sorts of trouble, but that was because they were protecting their homes. If someone just decided by themselves that I had to leave the house I was used to living in, I would resent them as well. On top of that, it wasn't a place like mine where I just happened to be renting it, but a place that their families had lived for generations. It might be ignorant to call their desperate resistance an overreaction. I might not really be qualified to criticize politics or bureaucracy, but deliberately building a dam on land that was loved by its residents wasn't something I could get behind.
でもよかった。
どうしてですか？
少なくともこれでこの村に平和が戻るよ。
Even though the minister promised to use his considerable influence to cancel the project, it would probably take more than a few months before it would be completely scrapped. At the very least, it would take 1 or 2 years for the villagers to officially hear that their village wasn't going to be submerged at the bottom of a dam was still a ways away. But it was no mistake that the promise of peace was returning to the village was there. It turned out, from beginning to end, that it had already all been decided. Just as the girl had said, it was decided. There wasn't really a need for me to come here in the first place. There was absolutely no need for me to have to come here and aggravate an unpleasant situation. If I had never come here, then the grandson's release might have been done in a more amicable manner.
平和がこの村に？
When I nodded, she laughed as if to admonish me. but her face remained indifferent, expressionless. And then her eyes narrowed slightly as she snickered.
これから毎年血生臭いことが起きるのに。
リカちゃん、何の話だい？
As the wind blew her hair about the girl as if talking in pleasure, and that I was the only one who didn't know, continued to snicker as she looked at my face for a while.
私ね、あと何年かすると殺されるの。
Okay. I like that. I like this. I like this. Okay. I mean, I don't like that Rika's gonna die. That's terrible. But at the same time, it's like, okay. Information. Backlit by the moon, it was hard to tell if her expression had been cast in the shadow. Was smiling. Or
リカ
resigned.
ちゃんがどうして？
とても不愉快なことだ。それも多分。
決まっているって。
それを私も知りたいの。
Turning back to face me, she showed a resolute expression for the first time. After staring into my eyes for a moment, she turned back to gaze at the scenery before she spoke her next words.
ここはこれを伝えても何も変わらないかもしれないけど、でも死という月を映す水面をかき消すためなら小石を投じることもあるかもしれない。
There's a lot of people who have no regard for human life. Even if I tell you this, it might not change anything though. But if you want to erase the specter of death, sometimes, like with the reflection of the moon on the water, all you have to do is throw a small stone. Just had to listen to every word with my body and soul, or at least that's what I
来
thought.
年のそうダム現場の監督が殺されます。
Okay. For a moment, I couldn't comprehend what she was talking about. By the foreman, did she mean that gruff old man I played Mahong with?
殺されるって。
She didn't answer. But she had the same expression on her face as she did. She's like a soothsayer? How does she know everything? That wasn't the face of somebody making a forecast or a prediction. It was something that was already decided. No. It was as if she was already reporting the results, that sort of expression.
恐ろしい殺され方をした後、体ばその翌年の聡子の両親が突き落とされて死にます。
Satoka. The first time I heard that name, but I didn't have the courage to interrupt the girl's story.
あるいは不幸な事故。
It wasn't exactly encouraging to me to smile along with the lifeless look in her eyes.
そしてさらに私の両親が、そしてさらに翌年の聡子の意地悪おばが、そしてさらに翌年の昭和58
You'll
年、
die.
あるいはその数日後か、
You're gonna die.
私が殺されます。
Oh, I'll be killed.
すべての死が予定調、最後の死もまた予定のうちな。
This village is full of murderers and people who have no regard for human life. It would be fine to believe that all the deaths up to 1982 would be the work of somebody in this village. It would be fine to believe that all the deaths would occur would be at the discretion of those who control the village. But that didn't explain what would happen in 1983. There was no way that the last death would fit in with anybody's plans. They had no regard for human life. They would use every means at their disposal to meet their goals. But their goals were at odds with the last death. That's why the last death was unrelated to them. But that last death would definitely, most likely, probably, without question, happen. Probably, definitely, I dare say. The last death would be a merciful one. A handkerchief or something being placed over their mouth making them lose consciousness, never to wake up again. Exactly whose plan was that? Can I read Rika's thing again? I'm just trying to see, I'm just trying to look for my death to cut, because Tomitaki dies pretty much every time. So I'm curious. Whose plan was that?
私は幸せに望みはそれだけ。大好きな友人たちに囲まれてそれだけなの。それ以上の何もの。
リカちゃん。
I don't want to die. The girl, stoic as ever, let those last words slip in the end. That's an odd... He like knows things? Eventually we were discovered by some drunks. The girl, as well as I, were dragged back to the festivities. Everybody was completely drunk, so even when they saw my head was completely wrapped in bandages, they wouldn't let me leave. Well, certainly if I was in good enough condition to slip out of the hospital, it must not be that serious. The girl was mingling with everybody, being pampered like a kitten. Her expression was adorable, nothing like the one from just before, predicting her own death and whispering that she didn't want to die. Having said that, having a silly and lively conversation like this, it was hard to believe that these people were the core of an extremist resistance group. Even if it was a shell of its former self, it was a festival where people in the village gathered, so the 20-some odd folk here would have included some of the village executives and other important members. Among those, there was no doubt that there were members that were at the Sonozaki family council in attendance. Meaning, even if we'd never met face to face before, there were people who knew my identity. In a small village like this, they all knew the faces of all of the villagers that lived here. That's why, without even saying anything, it soon became obvious that I was an outsider. But they actually seemed interested by that, asking me all sorts of questions about Tokyo, drinking while musing on about the fate and relationship the city had with the villagers, and empathizing with their rather meager environment. The confidential talks with the minister were already finished, and the grandson was released into police custody. Everything was over. I might not have to be put in another perilous situation. To me, they were only my adversaries because of my job. Outside of that, there was no reason I couldn't be friendly with them. The next time I visited this village, would it return to being a tranquil and beautiful place? If that happened, I might be able to take a relaxed walk around the village with her again. My cup was once again filled to the brim with beer. By the time I was able to get away, it was the middle of the night. The girl had at some point disappeared. It seems her parents had told her to go home and sleep when she let out a large yawn. The old folks, who had absolutely no remorse for making an injured person hang out with them, told me as much as they laughed. I was just there drinking, so I had thought to help with a bit of cleanup. However, my help was refused on the grounds that I was a guest. On top of that, they had a car prepared to take me back to the hospital. Losing the battle against my sleepiness inside the car, I was sound asleep until we reached the parking lot of the hospital. The front door of the hospital was naturally locked at this hour. I wandered around bewilderedly, searching for a back entrance until somebody on night duty found me and let me inside.
こんな時間までどちら入江先生も
ご迷惑をおかけしま神社でお祭りの人たちに
ああそういえば今日は神社で町会の人たちがそれはごし傷は大丈夫ですか
ちょっと多分アルコールのせいだと思います
そうだお連れの刑事さんが連絡が欲しいと言ってましたよ
大石さんを待たせてたんだった
I glanced at the clock. No matter how you looked at it, it was way too late to call him now. I'll apologize to him tomorrow over the phone. I returned back to my hospital room and slipped into my bed that was still unmade from the time I went outside. Oh, that's no good. I'll have to turn off the lights. But my weariness had cut the cord powering my body, lulling me into a deep sleep. Is that the end? Hey, we killed it. I wanted to reach the end of the chapter thing before, so that means we're at the end. Right? Because this is the last chapter, I'll get an achievement for this, and then we'll have one more chapter to go. Mother's Diary 1, 2, and 3, which we'll read in the next one. Yeah, prophecy at the beginning. So this is technically the first episode. If I wanted to play this game in order, I would start with this episode. This is the episode I start with. I imagine, and if I'm not mistaken, I imagine what's going to happen is that when I play Shion, I'm gonna start after this point. So it's almost like Star Wars. If I'm not mistaken, right? Where there's weird shit happening because you don't have all the information because all the rules were explained in the... Well, actually, you know what? Star Wars was really good in structuring how you knew everything kind of that was going on. This one is actually like you started in the middle of a story that is going on and you have no idea what's going on or why things are happening. And then I'm starting at the beginning. That's why they had this arc where I played as Tomitaki. But next one I'm going to play as Shion, and that's going to explain how I got the mark or the gash. It's going to explain her relationship with the family. I'm going to get so many answers when I play as Shion. We have one more thing left to go. You know, I was super mad at the fact that he decided to go and not use the hotel phone, not use the station phone. At the same time, I mean, it turned out all right. But at the same time, like, that's a stupid thing to do. You could have gotten killed, but Rika is kind of a boss. Out of all the evil people, out of all the people that we saw turn evil, like, Satoko never really turned evil. She turned, like, crazy. She was, like, she turned fucking, like, nuts because she was abused. But the rest of the evil people were kind of, like, evil to, like, fuck you, I'm gonna kill you. But Rika was kind of like, hey, I'm evil and I'm gonna warn you to, like, leave, but I know all this shit and I'm a soothsayer, and everything's been decided, which makes me think of, and if you've not watched Mirai Nikki, you should probably end the video now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this, so please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you guys in the next episode. But in Mirai Nikki, there's that part where at the very end where that person becomes like the god, or you figure out that they're like a god of everything, and it like kind of makes sense, like that's what happened. I feel like something along those lines is happening here, where like everything's predetermined, everybody's kind of like older. There might be supernatural shit going on, like as far as demons go. That would make a whole lot of sense. And they were talking about stuff like it would be logical to think that everybody in the village did that, but then if that were the case, why did the last one fall at odds? So it makes me think that there's something else going on. Obviously, I still don't have all the answers. Then that since day one playing this game. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next episode, whenever that may be. And I thought I was going to upload another thing today. I don't know, just visual novels are so easy to like upload because it's just like me reading a good book, you know? And then like other people are also, it's like a book club. like you read, like it's like an hour of like reading the shit, and then it's like, oh, what are the other people gonna say about this? Because I don't know. See, the problem is all you fuckers like know what's going on, and I'm over here like in the dark. I feel like everybody's playing ball, and I'm the only one that hasn't gotten a chance to like throw the ball yet. Oh, I can't wait till I get to throw the ball. Anyway, thank you guys. I know I've said I'm leaving like 5 times, but thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out, you guys.